June 19th, 2025. A day of devastation in the Middle East. At dawn, Iran unleashed a massive missile barrage on Israel, the most severe attack yet in their escalating conflict. Dozens of missiles struck Israeli cities, causing widespread destruction and panic. Sirens blared as families rushed to shelters, waking to a terrifying new reality. This marks the 7th day of open warfare between Iran and Israel, shattering years of shadow conflict. The operation, dubbed True Promise 3 by Iran, signals a dangerous new phase. Missiles targeted both southern and central Israel, hitting civilian and strategic sites alike. The world watches anxiously, fearing the violence could spiral into a regional war. The scale and directness of this attack have broken old rules. No one knows what comes next. We'll break down what happened, the weapons used, and the immediate aftermath. Understanding today's events is crucial, as their impact could reach far beyond the region. The stakes have never been higher for millions of lives and global stability. The conflict is now out in the open, with missiles flying directly between nations. The risk of a much larger war has never been more real. Iranian missiles struck deep into Israel, igniting chaos and fear. The Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba was hit, crippling its ability to treat patients. Residential neighborhoods in Tel Aviv's suburbs, Ramat Gan, Holon, Bat Yam, suffered direct hits, collapsing buildings and trapping families. Emergency services raced to rescue survivors from the rubble, overwhelmed by the scale of destruction. A missile near the Lithuanian embassy forced evacuations, underscoring the danger to all. In the north, Tamra was also struck, with infrastructure across Israel severely damaged. Power outages, broken water lines and destroyed roads have complicated rescue efforts. Thousands now live in shelters, their lives upended by constant threat. Schools and businesses are closed, streets are deserted. The economic and psychological toll is immense, but survival remains the immediate concern. The attacks have left entire communities in shock, unsure when or where the next missile will fall. Israel's Home Front Command continues to issue urgent safety warnings. Iran's attack showcased its most advanced weaponry yet. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps fired Sejjil medium-range ballistic missiles, powerful, long-range, and hard to intercept. Some missiles carried cluster bomb warheads, scattering deadly bomblets over civilian areas. In Azor, near Tel Aviv, a cluster bomblet struck a home, highlighting the indiscriminate danger. Unexploded bomblets now pose a long-term threat, especially to children. Israel's Home Front Command warns civilians to avoid missile debris, treating all remains as potentially lethal. Iran claims it targeted military and intelligence sites, but civilian casualties and destruction tell a different story. The use of such weapons in dense cities has magnified the devastation. The attack's precision was touted, but the reality is widespread suffering. Advanced arms have turned ordinary neighborhoods into war zones. The legacy of this assault will haunt the region for years. The human toll is staggering. Dozens of civilians have been killed, many in their own homes. Foreign nationals are among the dead, underscoring the conflict's global reach. Over 240 people are wounded, with hospitals overwhelmed and some facilities damaged. More than 5,000 are now homeless, forced into shelters or temporary housing. Families have lost everything, homes, belongings, and their sense of safety. The psychological trauma is immense, especially for children living in constant fear. Air raid sirens and the threat of missiles have shattered daily life. The government faces a massive challenge to provide support and rebuild. The scars of this day will last long after the rubble is cleared. The true cost is measured not just in numbers, but in lives forever changed. Iran claims its missile barrage was retaliation for Israeli strikes on its nuclear and military sites. Iranian officials insist they targeted military and intelligence facilities, not civilians. However, the proximity of these sites to urban areas led to inevitable civilian casualties. Israel responded swiftly, launching airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities and missile launch sites. The goal: disrupt Iran's nuclear program and prevent further attacks. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed no nuclear material was present at the Arak reactor during the strike. Israeli leaders have issued stark warnings, vowing all options are on the table. Defense officials have even named Iran's supreme leader as a potential target, escalating tensions further. Both sides are locked in a dangerous cycle of attack and counterattack. The rhetoric is fierce, and the risk of further escalation is high. The world watches, hoping for restraint. Israel's advanced missile defense systems, Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow, intercepted many Iranian missiles. But the sheer volume of the attack overwhelmed defenses. Some missiles broke through, causing major casualties and damage. The attack exposed the limits of even the best technology under saturation assault. Global leaders have called for an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation. The US, EU, Russia, and China urge restraint, while the UN condemns attacks on civilians. The IAEA warns of the dangers posed by strikes on nuclear facilities. The US has moved military assets to the region, but stopped short of direct involvement. Russia has demanded Israel halt attacks on the Bushehr nuclear plant. France and other nations prepare to evacuate citizens, fearing further escalation. Iran has called for an emergency UN Security Council session. The world is united in its alarm, fearing a wider regional war. The situation remains volatile, with diplomacy hanging by a thread. The next moves by both sides could determine the fate of the region. As the dust settles, the region stands on the brink. Both Iran and Israel show no signs of backing down, raising the risk of a devastating cycle of violence. The conflict threatens to spill over, with Iran warning it may close the Strait of Hormuz, a move that could shock global oil markets. Inside Iran, unrest grows as the government clamps down and civilians flee cities. Amid the chaos, faint hopes for diplomacy remain. Iran seeks a UN Security Council meeting and talks with European officials. International pressure for peace is mounting, but the path forward is uncertain. The choices made in the coming days will shape the future of the Middle East.